People often ask me what's my favorite bolt action or pump action, different questions about which rifles or shotguns I like the best. And it's always hard to answer that question, but when it comes to what's the most meaningful rifle in my collection, that's an easy answer, and that's this rifle here. Now from your angle, it looks just like a typical field action. You may not be familiar with the field action. These came out some time ago. This one is marked on the barrel, Thomas Bland and Sons, 430 West Strand, London. Winners of the American Rifle Trials of 1885. And the rifle is reasonably well covered in gun literature. I actually have this serial number in the book, which we can look at in a minute. And the field action is covered in Greener's book as well. But anyhow, you're probably wondering, okay, forget about the books, what about the gun? So it's a falling block, and what's interesting is that the lever is activated from the front here, or rather the block falls from this front lever. Typically it's on the side, and I've had one of those, which was a Holland and Holland. This is a Thomas Bland. So far from your angle, I'm assuming that it looks like a regular falling block rifle. But wait, what makes it so meaningful is apparent once I turn it this way. And now you can see the extent to which the gun maker went to make this rifle usable by someone who obviously was badly injured. And in the book, which, like I said, we'll show you, they say made for a handicapped person, 303 British. And yeah, we can probably film that. I put a little arrow for you there. That's the rifle that you're viewing now. And yeah, so they actually went to extraordinary lengths. You can see that they've curved the tang, so they had to either they reforged it or by some means reshaped it. And you'll wonder, well, why would they make the stocks so strange? So when I shoulder this rifle, I'm looking into space, so to speak. So somebody obviously was right-handed and probably had lost their right eye, and so they could sight with their left eye. And actually, if you close your right eye, it's on. You know how it works with binocular vision. But you can try that, and it's not too bad. It's quite comfortable. Try to shoot it one of these days. And I suspect something else was wrong. It's hard to know. I guess I could write Thomas Bland and maybe they would tell me something. But like I said, it's kind of, in a way, touching that somebody liked shooting so much, and then Thomas Bland went to this extent. Hopefully, if this was a person wounded in a war, the military paid or the government paid or somebody subsidized it. You can see it from the bottom. It's a tremendous amount of work that they had to do, and it's not degraded in any way. It's still a best quality falling block, but it has that amazing curvature. And I couldn't help but think, every time I handle this rifle, people who are handicapped or veterans, they often require firearms that are a little different. I like this lever in the front a lot. You can see how the block drops. This gives a lot more leverage. Like I said, I had the Holland and Holland with the side lever. And I was beginning to say that it could be that maybe their hand was injured as well, their right hand, because it wouldn't be too bad to work the levers. So probably something had to happen with the left hand. Some people that have seen this rifle feel that maybe they had something mechanical on their left hand to kind of hook into here. But that's all speculation. Bottom line is a really amazing piece of work. And the field action itself is quite interesting. You might be interested in these other English falling blocks, the Holland and Holland Woodward, and there were Webleys, and there were Wesley Richards. There were too many to list, actually. And I always thought the field was one of the better ones. Some of them look fantastic, and the workmanship is always superb. But inside, sometimes the mechanism is a bit of a mousetrap, with lots of springs and flat springs and different concepts going on. And they got them to work, but they're not Hagen actions. They're overly complicated. Field is pretty good. One feature I like a lot is you just remove this screw that drops out, and I hope we can do this on camera. You just take a screwdriver, and there's a little notch in the back, and the block comes out. And you can see that, I don't want to mess up the book. Anyway, I'll put it there. But yeah, so the block comes out, and that allows you to have complete access to the action, and you can look straight through like a bolt action. So cleaning is easy. And I guess it's unique among the British falling blocks also because there's a hammer, which isn't always the case. The trigger, by the way, for those of you that study triggers, it's very good. No creep, and breaks cleanly like a glass rod, as people like to say. The barrel is a unique, to me anyway, 29 inches. I think it might be in the literature. I think they say 28.5 to the front of the receiver ring, but it's 29 to the very back of the chamber, depending on how you measure. And I should probably, well, want to make sure you can see this rifle well. It also has a trapdoor grip cap right here, and that's easily opened with your fingernail. And in there is a small container, and in the small container is a firing pin. And then in the back as well is a trap. In this case it's empty, but that would be for a cleaning kit. And you can probably see even better from this angle just how dramatic that curvature is to this gun. It's really something else. I've looked at it in different ways. I thought maybe I'll go hunting with it, just because it's kind of a meaningful rifle. And it wouldn't be that hard to put a cheek piece on it to let me use my dominant eye, which is my right eye. And then here's something cool on the barrel. See these fixtures here? I was so close to getting the scope bases and system that fits here. So this gentleman was obviously a very determined shooter, and used a scope. They had the excellent African Express sights, and the field action was probably ideal. You're really handling this thing with this system here. Of course it brings the hammer back, so that part is taken care of. Yeah, it's really something. Anyway, I kind of made the video with all of you in mind, but there are some people that write me consistently that are handicapped. One name comes to mind. I only know the folks by the names they use on the channel, so he writes me as B. Frew, and he's another really determined shooter and has handicaps. And then I hear from some veterans and so on. Anyhow, I guess it's good to keep in mind that a regular factory rifle isn't necessarily usable, so modifications have to be made. And frankly, most of the guys that write me, they just use ARs, like semi-automatic rifles. So hopefully, I'm just saying, we don't somehow end up in a situation where we're taking these rifles away, or even thinking about it's probably not a good idea. Wish there was some way for me to show you these books, and I'll probably take some pictures and somehow put them up on Instagram or something like that. This book is probably a good idea to buy. Let's try to stand it up. And then the British falling block, I'll stand that up as well. These are kind of reference books that I've used over the years. This one's harder to find. All of those are good. This one's a little more common, by Frank de Haas. Not sure if I met this gentleman. He passed away some time ago, but we probably captured those on video. And then these big books I've shown you before, British Sporting Guns and Rifles. There are 2 volumes, Volume 2 and Volume 1. I mean, we're getting into like detailed research, which maybe not everybody does, but somehow I ended up in this ship, and so I learn what I can. Anyway, there it is. Field action, just a remarkable rifle. And I've, many people look at it and say that's what you call a crossover stock. Probably makes sense. But by whatever name, it's just a remarkable piece of gun making, and they did it so well. No cracks in the tang that I can see anyway. No, nothing. It's all clean. Yeah, quite a piece. And if you find something that's out of the ordinary like this, at first glance maybe it looks like, oh, I don't want that, but it turned out to be, like I said, just a remarkable piece. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe, and if you can, join me on Patreon as well as on Instagram, and we'll see you all on the next video. Take care. Bye.